Hello, everyone. My name is Sarafi, and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we're going to be playing Voidvelg. And the best part about this deck is I don't have to build it because it's free. You can just play this deck all you want for the next couple days. This is great. If you want to see this deck in action, you can experience it yourself by just going to Rush Duel Ranked. Or you can also watch my replays, of course. Then you can kind of adjust it and see what you like, and if this is a deck that you want to play after having actually played the cards and seen the skill in action, you can just go into the box, and if not, don't. It's awesome. Alright, so let's take a look at what we can do with this deck moving forward. So obviously this is Zuijo's new deck, and it's got a brand new skill. That skill is called Void Destruction. This is Zuijo's level 18 skill. You don't need to try and roll for it or anything. Can be activated from turn 2 onward if all the monsters in your constructed deck are Dark Attribute Galaxy monsters. So for the Chaos Galaxy enjoyers, you could definitely play Chaos Galaxy, but there's not going to be a skill that you can use yet. As an effect, you could choose one attack position normal monster on your field. This turn, that monster inflicts piercing damage. Then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If a monster with 1600 or more attack was sent to the graveyard by this effect, you can also add one of those monsters to your hand. That's really good. So you just get a free mill 3, which is very useful to a lot of decks. And then you also get to draw a card potentially, in addition to just getting piercing. So the piercing is not nearly as useful because you'll probably end up tributing the monster that you targeted, but you do get just free draw, and that's good enough in a lot of cases. In addition to potentially getting free draw, you also put monsters in your graveyard, which you can use for cards like Talismanic Seal Array, Pot of Avarice, or Voidvelg Globule. We'll talk about all those. So this is a really good skill. Only drawback is that you can't use it on turn 1, but it makes sense because you can't attack on turn 1. So let's take a look and see what is in the deck. Our ace monster is called Voidvelg Requiem. Voidvelg Requiem is a level 8 Dark Galaxy monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. And as you can see, it gets a free silver border. You don't need to spend any resources on it. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. As an effect, this card gains attack equal to the number of face-up Dark Attribute monsters on your field times 300. Then if your opponent has a face-up Light Attribute monster on their field, this card gains 600 attack until the end of the turn. So, it has 2500 base. If you have 3 dark monsters, it gains 900 attack points. Then if your opponent has a light monster, it gains another 600 for a total of 4,000. 4,000 being Cyber End Dragon. So this is a tribute summonable Cyber End Dragon. That's pretty strong. Now, obviously, Voidvelg Requiem has been released right after Konami has basically engineered a light meta in Rush Duels. We have Cyber Dragons, which are really good. We have the Materion deck, which is really good. And we have the Light Galaxy deck, which is really good. So there are 3 very powerful light deck monsters in the meta right now. Of course, also you have Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius. You have some of the light psychic monsters that Roman likes to play. And you have the light aqua strategy that is being used by Mimi. And all of Yuamu's dragon monsters are also light. So a good chunk of the cast is light focused right now, which means that Voidvelg Requiem is right at home. Good card. We're playing 2 copies of this in this deck, so that's great. 3 copies of Voidvelg Elysium. Voidvelg Elysium obviously is a free card from the event. You will get 3 copies by the end if you play the event at all. Level 8, 2500 attack, 2000 defense. As a requirement, you send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. Effect, change 1 monster on your opponent's field to face down defense position. This card gains 500 attack points until the end of this turn. If you sent a monster to the graveyard to meet this requirement, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap cards this turn. Cool. So it can avoid it being destroyed by Widespread Ruin. That's pretty nice. And it gets 500 attack points, and it can beat over anything. Now you might think, well, this seems weird. Why doesn't it get piercing? You can't use the skill on it to give it piercing because the skill only works on normal monsters. Well, that's why we have Star Transfer. Star Transfer is a level 6 Dark Galaxy monster. A requirement is to send this face-up card from their field to the graveyard. It allows you to special summon a Galaxy monster from your hand, and if you special summon a level 8 monster, it gains 400 attack and gets piercing. So great. So this will allow you to use your Elysium as a 2900, 3400 attack point beater with Piercing and Book of Moon effect. So just a solid overall strategy. The structure deck version only has one copy of Star Transfer. I don't know how many copies of Star Transfer are correct, but I do know that since Star Transfer is a free card, because you can get it from the event, it doesn't really matter. You can experiment with this card as easily as you want without really needing to worry about going into the box all that much. Next up, we have the other ultra rare from the box, Voidvelg Cataphract. Voidvelg Cataphract is a level 4 Dark Galaxy monster, 1000 attack, 1000 defense. If you have another face-up Dark Attribute monster on your field during the turn you normal summon Voidvelg Cataphract, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if you sent a monster to the graveyard by this effect, you can add one level 8 Galaxy monster from your graveyard to your hand. So both Voidvelg Cataphract and Star Transfer do not specify dark monsters. However, they specify level 8 monsters. So they do not have synergy with the Galactica Oblivion version of the deck, but they do have synergy with the Greystorm Reverie version. Also, it's important to note that Greystorm Reverie, this deck does not have any limit 3s. So you can play a Dark Galaxy deck that includes Greystorm Reverie without any problems. So that's pretty good, actually. It's nice that this deck did not come with any limit 3s, despite the fact that it can easily get 4,000 attack points. I assumed that Voidvelg Requiem or Voidvelg Elysium would be limit 3. So, cool. Next up, we have Voidvelg Globule. Voidvelg Globule is a super rare in the box. Level 3, 0 attack, 1300 defense. Requirement, shuffle 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy monsters from your graveyard into your deck. This turn, this face-up card can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a Dark Attribute Galaxy monster in attack position. So Voidvelg Globule and Star Transfer are good ways to get a level 8 monster on your board with only using 1 space, which is important for Voidvelg Requiem because you want to have 3 dark monsters on your field when you resolve this card's effect. So you don't want to tribute 2 monsters to summon Voidvelg Requiem if you can help it, because you would then have an empty space on the board and you wouldn't get as much attack points. So Star Transfer and Voidvelg Globule make it so that you can only tribute 1 monster space to summon Requiem, so that's pretty good. Voidvelg Medion. This is a Dark Galaxy monster. This card is one of Zuijo's level up cards. If you have a face-up level 7 or higher Galaxy monster on your field, you can send this card from your field to the graveyard, destroy 1 face-up level 6 or lower light attribute monster on your opponent's field, and then inflict 300 damage to your opponent. Cool. Hard removal. I like hard removal. Hard removal is good. Now, it's level 6 or lower, which is kind of frustrating, but, I mean, there can be some good level 6s. And then there's also the fact that it has to be light, but we'll get to that in a second. So, this is pretty decent. This deck is set up to where you can build this entire deck with only 2 runs through the box. So, Voidvelg Requiem, Voidvelg Cataphract, and Voidvelg Globule. There's only 1 of each of these in the box, so there's only 2 copies of each of them in the deck, and they're showing what you can do with that. The exact ratios for the final deck, I don't know, but I feel like this is close. Now we have Burst Ray Blaster. This card's great. Burst Ray Blaster, Dark Galaxy monster, 1200 attack, 200 defense. Requirement, reveal 1 level 7 or higher Galaxy monster in your hand. It doesn't have to be a Dark Galaxy monster, so you can play this with Galactica Oblivion. Inflict damage to your opponent equals to the number of face-up monsters on the opponent's field times 200. You can change 1 face-up monster on your opponent's field to light until the end of the turn. Amazing. So this allows us to, first of all, we bolt our opponent for 600, but then it also allows us to turn a monster into light, and as long as there is a single light monster on the field, we can Voidvelg Requiem for 4,000 attack points. We can also then bomb the monster with Medion so that we can kill the opponent. So, burn, extra attack points, pop. Solid strategy. Voidvelg Pale Rider. This is a level 4 Dark Galaxy monster with 600 attack and 0 defense. I apologize. I said that this deck could be created with 2 runs through the box. This is the only card that they have 3 copies of. That's only at 1 in the box. So I feel like you do want to have 3 copies of Voidvelg Pale Rider because you need as many targets for the skill as possible. But you could get away with only 2 copies of it if you wanted to get this in 2 runs of the box. Voidvelg Pale Rider. Level 4 Dark Galaxy monster with 600 attack and 0 defense. This is basically a Dark Transam Rhynak. You could play Transam Linek and this card in the same deck if you wanted to. Just be like a bully Galaxy normal deck if you had that inkling. I think it's okay. Dimension Azarth. This card is a drop from the event, and also a level up reward, I believe, for Zuijo. Level 4 Dark Galaxy monster, 1500 attack, 0 defense. And then lastly, we have Shadow Sentinel, which is a level 4 Dark Galaxy monster with 1500 attack and 100 defense. I believe this card is in the box. So 3 different normal monsters that all qualify for the effect of Void Destruction, which means that you can very regularly just mill 3 cards from the top of your deck. Pretty good. Don't sacrifice these cards before you use the skill, though. Pot of Avarice. Shuffle 5 monsters from your graveyard into the deck to draw 2 cards. This is really strong. Really nice effect. You know, you have a lot of ways to put cards in the graveyard between your skill, milling 3, Voidvelg, Elysium, discarding a card from your hand, Requiem, milling the top card of your deck, Cataphract, milling the top card of your deck. So yes, you want to put as many monsters from your deck into the graveyard as possible, and Avarice will put them back and allow you to draw 2 cards. Universal Storm. This is a level up reward for Udius, and you also get 1 copy from beating Udius, and it is, if you have a Galaxy monster on the field, it's MST. Good. It works whether that monster is light or dark, so you need this for the deck. Talismanic Seal Array. Deck has it at 1. I'm sure that most of you have 3 copies of Talismanic Seal Array by now. It's a good card. But yeah, shuffle 4 monsters from your graveyard into the deck. 1 face-up monster in your opponent's field loses attack equal to its level times 200 until the end of the turn. This card is less necessary for this deck than it is for other decks. Obviously, Talismanic Seal Array is a great way to out Cyber End Dragon and other high-level, high-attack monsters like Yggdrago, the Sky Emperor. But ignoring the maximum monsters, you also have Voidvelg Elysium, and a lot of monsters in Duel Links right now do not have very high defense points. The exception being Yami, Ruler of the Dark Lair. So since a lot of monsters don't have very high defense points, putting them face down will usually allow you to just beat over them, which is why we can get away with only 1 Talismanic Seal Array. Pretty decent. Next up, we have Rice Terrace Crisis. This is a limit 1 card available right now. When your opponent special summons a monster from the hand or graveyard, change up to 2 face-up monsters on your opponent's field whose total levels equal 12 or less to face-down defense position. So you can Book of Eclipse, basically. There aren't that many ways to special summon right now, especially since it excludes special summoning from the extra deck. But it's common enough that I feel like this is a good card. This is definitely a card that you probably want to go ahead and get since it's guaranteed, and then you can kind of decide whether you want to play it or not. I'm not too sold on this card yet. I've triggered it a few times, and it's always felt amazing when I was able to trigger it, but there were also times where I just sat on it. And then lastly, we have Negate Attack. Of course, when the opponent monster declares attack, negate the attack. This turn, your opponent cannot attack. Good card. Okay, so let's take a look at the replay. Alright, so we're going first against Light Galaxy, which is a deck that we counter, so that's great. Or sorry, we're going second, I mean. Hand is Pot of Avarice, Star, Transfer, Voidvelg, Cataphract, and Universal Storm. That's great. The opponent summons, sets 2 and summons Transam Lenak. Okay. We're going to normal summon Voidvelg, Cataphract, and then we activate Universal Storm immediately to pop one of our opponent's cards. It is Meteor Charge. That's great. Then we summon Star Transfer, and we'll use its effect to summon Elysium from our hand. Elysium gains 400 attack points from Star Transfer, then we'll use Elysium's effect. We discard Pot of Avarice, we set the Transam Lenak in defense position, and then we'll beat over it. We don't know what his other 2 monsters are, but, I mean, Transam Lenak is a decent threat. It can be combined with other cards, like to give it 1,000 attack points from the Transam Ifray, and it has 0 defense points, so we're going to take out half his life points. Probably as good a turn as we could have done with that hand. Opponent draws 5, they're going to activate Galactico Order. Pitch the Galactico Oblivion, add Meteor Charge to their hand. Flip 2, use Strange Traveler to lower our attack points by 500. And then they pass. And I'm not sure why. Obviously, they could have added Secret Order to their hand with that skill. So I guess they probably already had Secret Order. And maybe they were going to play Secret Order, but they played their hand first and then realized that they didn't have space. Not sure what happened there, but regardless. We draw a new hand, we summon our Burst Ray Blaster. Blaster effect, we reveal Requiem, we burn our opponent for 200 times the number of face-up monsters they control. Summon the Cataphract effect, we mill. Tribute, and then we summon the Void Velg Requiem. Void Velg Requiem effect goes up to 3,700 attack points, and the opponent concedes. So there you go. Even if the opponent was not playing a light deck, the Burst Rate Blaster would have given us light. We could have summoned the Cataphract first to give our monster more attack points, so we would have 4,000. That was a misplay on my part. Regardless, easily overpowered an opponent's deck, shut them down, and my name is Rafi. I was thrilled to have all of you with me.